Hi, this is Hank reporting from Kyiv, and this is my update on Russian-Ukrainian war. Let's see what happened around Ukraine in the last 24 hours. Security agreement with US. Ukrainian football team speaks. Interest rate dropped. Security agreement with Japan. Fumi Cafe. Ukraine signed a security cooperation agreement with the United States at the G7 summit in Italy. President Zelensky described it this way in his evening address. This historic result with the United States is a bilateral security agreement that brings out relationships to the new level of a true alliance. This is the strongest agreement with America in all 33 years of our independence. There is a legally binding component of the agreement, and there are highly useful details on air defense and aircraft. We have secured America's assistance in the supply of fighter squadrons, as many fighters as Ukraine needs. We will work on this. Also spoke with the leaders about accelerating pilot training. I see big emphasis on air defense systems and combat aircraft, what we need most to get things moving. Everyone knows that US military doctrine relies heavily on strong air power, and here we are in a unique position. During the active phase of the largest war on European soil since the World War II, we are training pilots to fly completely new aircraft and urgently building infrastructure for their maintenance from scratch, literally under fire. It seems to me that no other country has ever been in a similar situation with America's F-16s. This is a huge challenge and the stakes are high. Importantly, the agreement with the United States now stipulates support for Ukraine both during wartime and in peacetime. It's truly long-term. We have the same vision of peace that is just for our people. Thank you, President Biden. Thank you, both parties and chambers of Congress. Thank you, America. President Zelensky added. Well, I'll second his speech. We are grateful for any help now, especially if it involves a long-term perspective. Of course, the Budapest Memorandum immediately comes to mind. And so far, I see that, unlike that agreement, we are not obliged to give up our weapons, but on the contrary, it contains some promises from the United States to support our country. I would just like Ukraine to now have the right to choose which agreements to sign and which not. This agreement seems beneficial to me, but time will tell how it will turn out in reality. I will leave a link to the Bloomberg article with the details of this agreement below this video.
Я Андрій Лунін, goalkeeper.
The Ukrainian national football team released a touching video. Our players who now play for various sports clubs introduced themselves to the camera and named the city of Ukraine from which they are from. Andriy Lunin, the goalkeeper of the famous team Real Madrid, and Mikhailo Mudryk, playing for the London club Chelsea, they are from the city of Krasnograd in Kharkiv region in the north of Ukraine.
Граю за Реал Мадрид.
Мене звати Михайло Мудрик, я граю за Лондонський Челсі.
Наше рідне місто – Красноград, Харківська область.
Мене звати
Alexander Zinchenko, who plays for the British Arsenal, is from Radomyshl.
Олександр Зінченко. Я граю за лондонський Арсенал. Моє рідне місто – Радомишль, Житомирська область, Україна.
Я родом з
Mykola Shaparenko from Dynamo Kyiv comes from Velika Novosilka, which was completely destroyed by the Russians.
Новосілки, яка повністю знищена росіянами.
Моє рідне місто.
Ilya Zabarny from British Bournemouth, originally from Kyiv.
Київ. Черкас.
Artem Dolbik, playing in the French Girona, comes from Cherkasy.
Запоріжжя.
Serhiy Sidorchuk from Belgian Westerlo is from Zaporizhia. Viktor Tsigankov from Spanish Girona is from Vinnytsia.
Житомир.
Ruslan Malinovsky from Italian Genoa comes from Zhytomyr.
Саки. Крим.
Mykola Matviyenkov, who plays for the Ukrainian Shakhtar, is from the city of Saki in the occupied Crimea.
Макіїв.
Alexander Zubko from Ukrainian Shakhtar is from Makeivka in the suburbs of Donetsk. I also have relatives there.
Мене звуть Максим Талаверов.
Мене звуть Анатолій Трубін. Наше рідне місто Донецьк. Зараз Макіївка, Сак і Донецьк тимчасово окуповані.
Maxim Taloverov from Austrian Lask and Anatoly Trubin from the Portuguese Benfica come from Donetsk, which has been occupied by Russians for 10 years. Football players say that all these cities would like to host Euro Championship, but they are fighting not for the tournament, but for their freedom. I'm not a football fan, but I remember how in 2012 the European Football Championship was held in Donetsk, and people from all over the world flew there to the new airport and went to the new beautiful Donbas Arena Stadium, which Donetsk was proud of. After 2 years, this airport became a fortress which Ukrainian military held back from separatist attacks until it was completely destroyed, the entire airport. There is nothing left, just dust. Donetsk, how are you doing? Doesn't your heart hurt? Your corrupted idiots shouted about the 8 years during which Ukraine supposedly bombed its own city. Look at Donetsk now. Where is all the terrible destruction? And compare with my Mariupol, which the Russian army razed to the ground in 86 days. This is a very emotional moment for me because I have idiot relatives in that region. I try to present the material without emotions, but how can I calmly look at how people simply destroy your house and say that this is my fault? How can one completely accept people who say that you provoked Russia into murder and violence? How can you calmly react when they tell you that you bombed your own Donetsk for 8 years? At such moments, I give an analogy. You're walking down the street with your child and a huge dog runs barking at you, and you start beating your child because he dropped an ice cream. This is what the situation looks like exactly. Bomb your own city when a Russian army of 200,000 people is attacking you. There would be no conclusion, make it yourself. Suddenly, the National Bank of Ukraine reduced its interest rate by 0.5%. I had to read about it to understand what effect to expect from this change. That's what I understood. The change is in the policy rate is a positive economic signal and indicates that the country's central bank has a positive outlook for inflation and is reducing the cost of borrowing for local businesses. Roughly speaking, taking out a loan in Ukraine is becoming a little cheaper, and at the same time, the National Bank has increased the dollar exchange rate to 40.69 hryvnias per dollar, before which the rate was at 35 to 40 hryvnias per dollar for quite a long time. Before the full-scale invasion, we had a stable exchange rate of 25 hryvnias to $1, and before the start of the war in 2014, the rate was 8 hryvnias to $1 for 5 years. Thus, during 10 years of war in Ukraine, the national currency fell in price exactly 5 times. Need I say that war is bad for economy? Okay, our official rate dropped by 0.5% to 13%, and at the same time in Russia, the central bank plans to increase the rate to 17 or 18%. The UK has joined US sanctions against Russia exchange, and now they are saying that the Chinese yuan will become the main foreign currency. It seems that cunning, smart Putin has outplayed everyone again. Or was it China? Today I slept for 4 years because of the night shelling, and I will leave all the conclusions to the people who watch this video. Decide for yourself whether Russia will benefit from the fact that now they are completely dependent on the exchange rate of the Chinese currency. Ukraine and Japan signed an important security agreement. Zelensky states that in 2024, Japan will provide Ukraine with $4.5 billion and will continue to support us throughout the agreement's entire 10-year term. This includes security and defense assistance, humanitarian aid, technical and financial cooperation, as well as joint efforts on the peace formula, he specified. Zelensky added that the agreement provides for the sanctions against the aggressor state and the efforts to hold the aggressors accountable, as well as for Japan's cooperation with Ukraine in reconstruction and recovery, writes Ukrainska Pravda. I'm very grateful to Japan, which is so far away but is very actively supporting us. This confirms my point that we can have different cultures with other countries and still have the same values and views on the importance of following international laws. As a photographer, I of course always wanted to visit Japan, but so far I haven't had the opportunity. I hope after war I'll have an ability to fly there and thank to Japanese for their help. By the way, in Ukraine there is a cafe, Fumi Cafe, which was opened by Japanese Fuminori Tsuchiko. He came to Ukraine to provide free food to people who need it. The kitchen operates thanks to donations from his friends from Japan. Fuminori himself does not make money from it, but he is loved in Kharkiv. He says, "At least once a day I can provide people with food. I want people to smile." This is so touching and thank you Fuminori-san. You can check out his Instagram page and support him if you want. A link and report in English about this cafe will be under this video. I'm sorry, but today there will be a short video. I need to do a lot of things and at least get some sleep. I have 4 shoots this weekend, hospital work and scheduled blackouts, but I'll try to shoot new videos on schedule. Thanks to everyone who watched these videos and supports us. I hope that someday in the near future we will be able to invite you to visit Ukraine for our great food and beautiful nature. Let there be peace and justice. This was my update on the Russian-Ukrainian war for day number 841. Take care and see you tomorrow.